Listen closely, because what I'm about to say may challenge everything you thought kindness was. Kindness is a beautiful virtue, but what if I told you there's a dark side to it? A side that silently destroys your destiny. You see, kindness without wisdom is not kindness at all. It's an open door for people to step on you, to use you, and to drain the very life out of your purpose. Every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you give your time, your energy, your resources to those who don't respect your boundaries, you are betraying the very gift God has placed within you. You are allowing others to steal your potential and dim your light. True kindness is not weakness, it's strength wrapped in discernment. It's about knowing when to extend your hand and when to protect your heart. If you keep being used, you're not just hurting yourself. You're robbing the world of the greatness you were born to unleash, and that is the greatest tragedy of all. Kindness without wisdom invites exploitation. It sounds simple, but it's one of the most dangerous traps you can fall into. You might think that being kind means saying yes to everyone, opening your heart and your resources without hesitation. But what happens when that kindness is met not with gratitude, but with selfishness? When people begin to expect you to serve their needs without any respect for your own, this is not kindness. This is being used. It's kindness without wisdom that allows others to take advantage of you, draining you dry and leaving you empty. Think about a tree planted by a river. It has all the water it needs, the sun shining down on it, and the perfect soil to grow deep roots and bear fruit. But what if that tree's roots were too shallow, or it was planted in rocky ground? The first storm would come and uproot it, no matter how strong it looked from the outside. Kindness without wisdom is like that shallow root. No matter how good your intentions, without discernment and understanding, your kindness will not withstand the storms of selfishness and exploitation. The Bible speaks to this truth in the book of Proverbs 3:21-23. My son, do not let wisdom and understanding out of your sight. Preserve sound judgment and discretion. They will be life for you, an ornament to grace your neck. Then you will go on your way in safety and your foot will not stumble. Wisdom and understanding are not separate from grace, they are part of it. When you extend kindness, you must also extend wisdom, so your kindness does not become a door for harm. Imagine a mother who loves her child deeply. She wants to provide for him and protect him, so she gives him what he asks for every time. But if she never teaches him discipline or sets limits, what happens? The child might grow up expecting the world to give to him without effort, without respect. Eventually, that child's attitude becomes a burden, not only to himself, but to others as well. This is the danger of kindness without wisdom. It can enable dependence, entitlement, and disrespect. So ask yourself, who benefits most from my kindness? Is it building up others while strengthening my own purpose? Or is it creating a pattern where others take without giving back? Is my kindness being used to mask selfish motives? Wisdom requires that you examine the heart of the situation. It requires you to see beyond the surface and recognize when kindness is being manipulated. Consider a business owner who hires employees. If he pays them but never holds them accountable for their work, he might be kind in the moment, but the business will suffer and he will ultimately lose more than he gains. Kindness in leadership requires balance. It requires discernment to know when to give and when to say enough. Otherwise, kindness turns into weakness, and weakness invites exploitation. You are created with a purpose, a destiny to fulfill. Your time, your energy, your resources, they are sacred. When you give them without wisdom, you lose the power to protect and advance that purpose. You open the door for others to use you as a stepping stone rather than respecting you as a partner on your journey. Your kindness should be a tool to build bridges, not a trap that limits your progress. Here's a thought. How many times have you felt drained after helping someone, only to realize later they had no intention of reciprocating or respecting your boundaries? What if your kindness could be guarded by wisdom so it became a source of strength rather than exhaustion? Wisdom is not about being harsh or unloving. It's about being clear-eyed and intentional. It's about knowing that saying no sometimes is an act of love for yourself and for those you serve. When you learn to combine kindness with wisdom, you create a life where your generosity builds you up instead of tearing you down. You protect your heart without closing it off. You serve without losing yourself. This balance is the foundation of true influence and lasting impact. Without it, your kindness becomes a door left open for exploitation, and your destiny is at risk. Remember, kindness without wisdom is a gift wrapped in vulnerability. Protect yourself wisely so your kindness can continue to shine strong and true. Saying yes when you really mean no is one of the quietest ways you betray yourself and your purpose. It seems like a small thing, a harmless act of kindness, but over time it accumulates like a weight that drags you down and steals your strength. When you agree to things out of fear, obligation, or desire to be liked, you give away your time, your energy, and your focus, resources that are essential to living out the destiny God has placed inside you. The truth is, every time you say yes unwillingly, you are letting others steal from your potential. Think about a bank account. Your time, your energy, your focus, these are deposits you make into your life's purpose. When you say yes to everything, you are making withdrawals without thought. And if you never say no, eventually your account is overdrawn. You end up bankrupt, not financially, but spiritually and emotionally. You lose the ability to invest in what truly matters because you've spent your resources on things that do not build you up or align with your purpose. It's the same way with your attention and commitments. Once they are gone, you can't get them back. There is a biblical principle that speaks directly to this. In Matthew 5:37, Jesus says, "Let your yes be yes and your no, no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one." This simple command is about integrity and boundaries. Your words carry power. They shape your life and your relationships. When you say yes, when you mean no, you break that integrity and open the door to confusion, frustration, and exploitation. Others begin to expect more from you than you can or should give. Your true intentions become blurred and you lose control over your own life. Picture a rubber band stretched beyond its capacity. Each time you say yes unwillingly, the tension increases. Eventually, the band snaps and the damage is done. The same happens with your spirit. You can only stretch so far before the pressure becomes too much and you break down emotionally, mentally, or physically. Saying no is not rejection or selfishness. It's self-care and stewardship. It's about recognizing that your limits are part of your design, and honoring those limits protects your ability to function at your best. Ask yourself, why do I say yes when I want to say no? Is it fear of disappointing others? Desire to be seen as good or helpful? Or perhaps avoidance of conflict? These reasons, though common, come at a great cost to your life and calling. Saying yes out of obligation or guilt builds a prison around your potential, a prison that keeps you stuck in other people's agendas instead of your own destiny. Consider a friend who is always available to help, always saying yes to every request, but who never has time for their own dreams or rest. They become exhausted, frustrated, and eventually resentful. Meanwhile, those around them may take this kindness for granted, expecting endless availability without regard for the toll it takes. This is the dangerous cycle of saying yes when you really mean no. It benefits others in the short term, but destroys your well-being and purpose in the long term. What if you could say no with the same grace and confidence as you say yes? What if your no became a declaration of your commitment to your purpose and your respect for your own boundaries? When you protect your time and energy, you send a message, not just to others, but to yourself, that your life matters, your calling matters, and you will not allow anything or anyone to steal what God has given you to fulfill. It's important to realize that saying no doesn't make you less kind or less loving. In fact, it makes your yes more powerful because it is given from a place of genuine intention and capacity. When you guard your time and energy, your kindness becomes sustainable and your influence grows. People learn to respect your boundaries and appreciate the authenticity of your yes. So consider the impact of every yes you give. Is it aligned with your purpose? Is it strengthening you or weakening you? Is it opening doors to your destiny or closing them? Your yes and no are the gatekeepers of your life. Guard them carefully, for they determine whether you live in freedom or captivity. Your integrity in speech protects your purpose from being stolen one wanted yes at a time. True kindness requires strong boundaries. This may sound contradictory at first because kindness is often seen as being open, generous, and selfless. But kindness without boundaries is like a ship without a rudder. It drifts aimlessly and is easily damaged by every wave that crashes against it. When you fail to set clear limits, you leave yourself vulnerable to being taken advantage of, and your kindness becomes a gateway for others to exploit you instead of uplift you. Boundaries are not walls designed to keep people out. Rather, they are fences that protect your garden, the place where your purpose grows. Think about a garden. If it has no fence or barrier, animals and pests will come and feast on the plants, destroying the fruit before it even has a chance to mature. Similarly, your kindness must be guarded by boundaries to prevent people from feeding on your generosity without respect or gratitude. When you allow others to overstep those boundaries, you are essentially inviting destruction into your life and your calling. There is a powerful biblical principle in Galatians 6:5 that says, "For each one shall bear his own load." This verse reminds us that while kindness calls us to help others, it doesn't mean carrying the entire burden of everyone around us. Each person has responsibility for their own life and choices. When you fail to set boundaries, you carry loads that are not yours, and this weakens you. True kindness recognizes this truth. It offers support and encouragement, but it does not take on what belongs to someone else. Consider the story of a teacher who truly cares about her students. She is willing to spend extra time helping those who struggle, providing guidance and encouragement. But if she never says no to requests for endless favors, like covering classes for colleagues repeatedly or taking on additional responsibilities beyond her role, she will eventually burn out. Her kindness, if not guarded by boundaries, will be her undoing. She will lose the ability to serve effectively and passionately because our energy is spread too thin. Ask yourself, do I have clear boundaries that protect my time, my energy, and my heart? Or do I let people cross over those lines because I fear rejection or want to be liked? What happens when my kindness is taken for granted or abused? Without boundaries, kindness becomes a door left wide open, inviting exploitation and leaving you vulnerable to emotional, mental, and spiritual exhaustion. Boundaries also teach others how to treat you. When you establish limits respectfully but firmly, you communicate that you value yourself and your purpose. You show that your kindness is not a weakness to be exploited, but a strength to be respected. People learn to appreciate your generosity when it comes from a place of intentionality and care rather than desperation or guilt. Imagine a smartphone with a battery that never gets charged. No matter how many apps you run or how much you use it to help others, if you don't set limits on usage or allow time for recharging, the phone will eventually shut down. Your boundaries are like charging time. They replenish your spirit and enable you to give your best without draining yourself dry. How often have you found yourself saying yes to help someone even when you knew it would harm your own well-being? Have you noticed how that pattern can leave you feeling bitter or resentful? These feelings are signs that your kindness is being compromised by a lack of boundaries. The good news is that boundaries do not diminish kindness. They enhance it by protecting it from being depleted. True kindness, wrapped in strong boundaries, creates a sustainable life of giving. It allows you to be generous without becoming a doormat. It lets you say no without guilt and yes with authenticity. When you honor your limits, you create space for your purpose to flourish and for others to take responsibility for their own lives. Your boundaries are not just lines in the sand, they are sacred fences around your destiny. Protect them well so your kindness remains a source of strength, not a gateway for exploitation. Protecting your gifts preserves your potential. It is easy to forget that the talents, abilities, and resources you have been given are precious and must be guarded carefully. When you allow yourself to be used without restraint, when you give away your gifts indiscriminately, you risk diminishing what makes you unique and powerful. Your gifts are not meant to be drained by those who do not value them. They are meant to be cultivated and directed toward the fulfillment of your purpose. Think about a precious jewel. If it is handled carelessly, left exposed to harsh conditions, or worn down by constant use, it loses its brilliance and value. The same is true for the gifts God has placed inside you. When you protect your gifts, you preserve their brilliance and strength. But when you let others take advantage of them without respect or gratitude, you chip away at your potential and dim the light that was meant to shine through you. There is a biblical truth found in the parable of the talents in Matthew 25:14-30. The master entrusted his servants with talents, gifts of value, to invest wisely and multiply. Those who protected and grew their talents were rewarded, but the one who buried his talent out of fear lost even what he had. This teaches us that our gifts are entrusted to us with responsibility. To protect and use them wisely is to honor the trust placed in us. But to allow them to be used recklessly or to be stolen by others is to betray that trust. Imagine a professional athlete who was trained for years to develop strength, skill, and endurance. If this athlete constantly gives away his energy to others without rest or focus on his own training, his performance will suffer. His gift diminishes, not because it was taken from him physically, but because he failed to protect the time and space needed to nurture it. Your gifts need the same protection and intentional care. Without boundaries, rest, and focus, your potential will not reach its fullness. Ask yourself, am I protecting my gifts from being drained by those who do not appreciate them? Am I setting limits on how and when I give my talents away? Or am I allowing others to demand my gifts to the point where I lose the ability to grow and flourish? When you protect your gifts, you are not being selfish. You are stewarding what was given to you for a greater purpose. Consider an artist who pours their heart into creating beautiful works. If they give away their art for free or let others use it without acknowledgement, eventually they lose the motivation to create. Their gift becomes a burden rather than a blessing. Protecting your gifts means valuing your creativity, your time, and your effort so that you can continue to produce and inspire. It means saying no when necessary to guard what fuels your passion and purpose. How often do you say yes to requests that drain your gifts without adding value to your life or mission? Are you aware of how this affects your potential to impact the world? Your gifts are sacred investments in your future and the future of those you serve. When you protect them, you create space for growth, innovation, and influence. True protection of your gifts involves more than just saying no. It involves nurturing yourself, spiritually, mentally, and physically. It means taking time for reflection, learning, and rest. Just as a tree needs sunlight, water, and time to bear fruit, your gifts need nourishment and care to flourish. Without this protection, your potential fades, and the destiny you were meant to fulfill becomes harder to reach. Your gifts are not unlimited resources to be exhausted on demand. They are treasures to be carefully guarded and wisely deployed. When you protect your gifts, you preserve your potential, not just for yourself, but for everyone who will benefit from what you have to offer. Remember, protecting your gifts is an act of faithfulness to the calling on your life. Guard them well, and you will watch your potential rise to heights you never imagined. Being used steals your greatness from the world. This is a harsh truth, but one that must be faced if you are to walk in the fullness of your purpose. When people take advantage of your kindness, your time, your talents, they are not just borrowing from you temporarily. They are robbing the world of the unique greatness God has placed inside you. Your gifts, your dreams, your influence, when exploited or misused, fade, and the world loses what only you can offer. Imagine a candle meant to light a dark room. When it is used carelessly, burning down without thought or protection, the flame quickly diminishes. But when the candle is protected and allowed to burn steadily, it illuminates the whole space, bringing clarity and warmth. Your greatness is like that candle. When you allow yourself to be used indiscriminately, you burn out quickly, and the light that was meant to shine brightly grows dim. The world then misses out on the illumination you were designed to provide. The Bible gives us a reminder in the parable of the talents in Matthew 25:30. The servants who invested and protected their talents multiplied their master's wealth, but the servant who buried his talent out of fear lost even what he had. This teaches us that greatness requires stewardship, careful management of what we have been given. When you are used without boundaries or wisdom, you risk burying your own greatness, hiding it away from the world instead of letting it shine. Think about a gifted musician who plays at every request without rest or consideration. At first, their music is vibrant and full of life, but over time, exhaustion sets in. Their performances lose the passion and energy that once captivated audiences. They have been used to the point of depletion. The world no longer experiences the full gift because the musician's greatness has been drained. This is what happens when you allow others to use you without limits. The very things that make you great are stolen piece by piece. Ask yourself, who benefits most when I am used? Is it the person taking from you, or is it you and the world around you? When your gifts, time, and energy are consumed by others without respect, what is left for your own growth and contribution? Being used is not a sign of your value. It is a sign that your value is being ignored and diminished. Consider the story of a garden full of fruit trees. If the fruit is picked too early, too often, or without care, the trees weaken and eventually stop producing altogether. But if the fruit is harvested thoughtfully and the trees are nurtured, the harvest lasts for many seasons. Your greatness is the fruit of your gifts and potential. If you allow it to be harvested carelessly, you risk losing your ability to produce anything worthwhile. But if you protect your greatness, nurture it, and guard it, your impact will endure far beyond the present moment. How many times have you felt drained, overlooked, or undervalued because others have taken advantage of your kindness and generosity? What toll has that taken on your spirit and your ability to lead, create, or inspire? Your greatness is a gift, not just for you, but for the world. When it is stolen, the world suffers a loss that cannot be replaced. Greatness requires intentional protection. It requires the courage to say no, to set boundaries, and to refuse to be used as a tool for others' gain at the expense of your destiny. It requires wisdom to recognize when kindness becomes exploitation and to act accordingly. When you do this, you are not being selfish, you are being faithful to the calling God has placed on your life. Your greatness is a treasure that the world desperately needs. Don't let it be stolen by those who do not value it. Guard your time, your energy, and your gifts fiercely. When you do, you will walk in the fullness of your purpose, shining brightly and leaving a legacy that cannot be erased. Protect your greatness well, for it is the light that the world waits for. When you leave here today, remember this. Your kindness is a powerful gift, but it must be paired with wisdom, boundaries, and discernment. Protect your time, guard your gifts, and stand firm in saying no when necessary, because in doing so, you preserve your potential and unleash the greatness within you. The world needs your light to shine bright, unburdened, and unstoppable. Walk boldly in that truth, knowing you were made for more than to be used. You were made to lead, to inspire, and to fulfill your divine purpose. Thank you for listening with an open heart. I pray wisdom and strength accompany you every step of the way. Good luck as you step into the fullness of your destiny.